like being trackside at a Grand Prix, huh? Change of direction on these things is insane. I own a single-seater that I take club racing, but comparatively speaking, it's like a kid's pedal cart. And speaking of pedals, I need to borrow your right foot again. We have invitations to 2 more historic events, and we got to choose one. So, take your pick.
Here we are then, the calm before the storm, as we wait for this field of iconic cars to burst into life for the historic invitational event today. I'm delighted to have the opportunity to be here and welcome along to all of you at home as well. So grab a cup of tea and get ready as our competitors make their final preparations. Welcome and good evening, race fans. The clock is ticking down to the start of today's practice session here at the Marina Bay Street Circuit, the setting for this weekend's Singapore Grand Prix. Anthony Davidson is here as usual to help take us through the action. And Ants, I've seen some questions on social media and other places about this current crop of F1 cars and why they're so much faster now, despite being significantly heavier than the previous generations of machines. Take us through that one.
I'd be happy to, Crofty. And simply put, it's a matter of grip. Now, that comes from two sources. You have what we call mechanical grip, which comes from the surface of the tyre sticking to the road, And these tyres are significantly wider now when compared to previous years, so they have the potential for more mechanical grip. Then you have the downforce, of course, which pushes the car into the road as the air moves over it, thus generating grip. And these cars have about 20% more downforce, which is more than enough to overcome the added weight.
As all the cars are now over the line, your top three again are Raikkonen, Verstappen and Sebastian Vettel. Thank you for joining us for free practice today. We'll be back with more Formula One action very shortly.
Hi, just letting you know that we've had the team's expectations through for the upcoming qualifying session.
It's late in the evening here in Singapore and it's time for qualifying, so settle down and enjoy the action. And as we wait, poised for the start of what will hopefully be a thrilling qualifying, why don't you tell us, Anthony Davidson, about the things you can do to really get the most out of a car in a session like this?
Well, you're largely limited by the Parc Fermé regulations, of course. Back in the old days, pre-2004, you'd work on both a qualifying setup and a race setup over practice, and then swap them over after qualifying. So the race car was quite different at times to the qualifying car. Nowadays, though, you have to find a compromise that works for both. There are a few things that you can still adjust during the session, such as the differential, the brake bias, and the front wing angle, but that's about it. So it's more about optimizing what you do have and adapting your own style to suit the track conditions.
Right, it's not going to be easy getting into the next qualifying session, but we know you'll give it your all. Recommend taking the wet tyres in the current conditions? best lap so far is a 1 minute 59.1.
As we wind down from the excitement of qualifying, here's a look at your top three. Vettel, Hamilton and Kimi Räikkönen. The grid is set then, so that just leaves the race itself. Join us tomorrow, where we'll be live with all the action. And until then, it's goodbye.
Hello. I just wanted to pass on the team's expectations for this race. Good luck.
It's spectacular, the heat is unbearable. The race should be incredible. It's not going to be plain sailing for our drivers today, although with the sky falling as it is, perhaps sailing isn't too far from the truth. Anthony Davidson, could be a wet one today. Great to have you with us. What are your thoughts?
It is a touch damp, isn't it? Well, as a driver, there are three big things to worry about when racing in these kind of conditions: standing water, tyre temperature and visibility. Judging distance to the cars around you is really tricky when you're driving through the vast amounts of spray that these wet weather Pirelli tyres kick up.
So before the off, let's remind ourselves of yesterday's qualifying session with a look at the starting grid. Sebastian Vettel has a clear track ahead of him today. He starts in pole position, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Räikkönen, Bottas, Max Verstappen and Ricciardo, Sauber, Massa, Hülkenberg and Daniel Kvyat, Sainz, Ocon, Kevin Magnussen and Stroll, Perez, Palmer, Fernando Alonso and Roman Grosjean. Wehrlein and Stoffel van Dorn completes the grid. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
We're higher on the grid than we expected. Let's see if we can do even better. Rich mix is unavailable. Rich mix unavailable. You've knocked the front wing. The damage only looks minor, but you'll need to take it easy to avoid making the problem worse. we're seeing a loss of power from the turbocharger now. Loss of power on the turbo. Lean fuel mix is unavailable. We're considering switching to an alternate strategy. Do you want to change or stick to plan A? Got that confirmed. Okay, take it easy on the car. We can't sustain this level of damage. Virtual safety car is ending. Maintain your pace until the green flag. VSC ending. Wait for green. Box this lap, please. We need to get you on new tyres and move on to a different strategy. It's borderline, but if I were you, I'd come in and change tyres. I'm just not sure we're on the right ones for the conditions anymore. Is available again, but it's temperamental. We could lose it again. That was our last stop. No more scheduled pit stops. Store is approaching its wear limits. There's a danger we'll lose access to lean mix down the line. .0 seconds. Some gearbox wear. Try to keep your number of shifts to a minimum. Safety car deployed. The safety car has been deployed. Watch your delta. Make sure you keep it positive as we catch the pack. You're doing well out there. Keep it up. We're looking at about 10 more minutes of rain. 10 minutes. Okay, slow down, slow down. Your delta is negative, which means you are too fast. Reduce your pace. track is drying, but it's going to take a while to clear the standing water off the line. Don't start thinking about slicks just yet. In this lap, let's make sure those tyres are up to temperature, and remember there is no overtaking until the first safety car line. Stay in position until the green flags. Position back. We are under safety car conditions and cannot overtake. Return the position. Return the position immediately. Be penalized. There is no overtake. To keep engine temperature optimal, or we'll risk losing it altogether. Just about time to come and change. Understood, stopping this lap. We think there's a viable strategy change available to us. Would you like to keep to the current plan or try the new one? Confirmed. racing on the exit. Data shows the tyres are okay right now. We anticipate good levels of grip for the next few laps at least. There's less tyre deg than we feared. They should last a while. The brakes and tyres are starting to overheat. You need to ease off in the corners. We have 2 laps of fuel remaining. Is unavailable. Pascal has come into the pits. Pascal in the pits now. Our gap to the car in front is 11.4 seconds. Mixes up. There's only 1 lap of fuel remaining. This is your final lap of the race. So the gap to our teammate is 9.3 seconds. uncut at the next race. Not our best day by any means.
That's a fantastic performance from Ferrari. It hardly looked in doubt. Anthony, what do you think made the difference here?
Well, the safety car completely changed the race, didn't it? It's hard to say exactly what would have happened without it, but there's no question that they came out of that situation in a good position.
So, here they come now, out onto the podium. Wherever you go, anywhere in the world, the prancing horse flags are dominant in the grandstands, and they're out in force again today. It's Ferrari on the top step once more. And after this round of the World Championship, here's how things look in the drivers' table. It's a good result for Sebastian Vettel, who moves further ahead at the top of the table. And now I'd like to ask you, Anthony Davidson, who was your driver of the day?
Let's give it to Sergio Perez. That was a commanding performance today. Very impressive indeed.
On to the constructors then. Mercedes have extended their lead at the top of the standings. Well, what a weekend that has been. Please join us next time for another thrilling instalment of this Formula One season.